Hello, wonderful world. It's Jennifer here at Eureka Astrology and Healing, and today we're going to talk about the astrological forecast for the Scorpio new moon. The Scorpio new moon is on November 13th, 2023 at 3:27 a.m. Central Standard Time. Adjust your clocks accordingly depending on where you're at. And first, I just want to say I feel like we are, in the Northern Hemisphere at least, heading headlong into winter. It is definitely getting colder. As you can see, I'm indoors and not outdoors. I really wanted to be outside today, but the wind is cold and I just thought it's going to be too much. The forecast is not going to be that great. What that means for those of us who are in the Northern Hemisphere who experience winter or a cold snap, as they would say, is it's time to go in. And Scorpio season is a great kickoff to going in. So I'm going to weave that all into the forecast, but just reflect on that a little bit and take note of the seasons and the cycles. Like, this is a time, not that we can't do things obviously in the outer world and get things done, but where we're being asked and called to rest and also go inward and take a look at ourselves a little bit. With that, let's go into the notables. And as I like to mention, the notables are something I like to say because I'm only doing forecasts every 2 weeks, fortnightly. And so much happens in between. And I mean, I could do a daily and I could get into it, but sometimes I feel like I really love astrology. This is one of my passions. But I also promote that people don't use just one thing to experience life. And so to get into details of cycles every day as a forecast or way to rule my life or others' lives, can be, take us away from, like I said, the natural things, maybe the natural cycles of the outside world or how people are acting around you. So I give the notables because I feel like those do strongly impact everybody in different places and spaces. As I said in a lot of my other forecasts, this is a general forecast. And so when I'm talking about things, it may be in a different area of your life or may not be exactly the way I say it, but you'll notice the flavor or the energy around a situation is happening for you with what I've said. And that's why I do the notables, because I think it's important for us to be able to all understand kind of like the larger vibration of what's going on and shifts. And if you're interested in seeing how these notables and these moons affect you, or you're looking for a year ahead, or you're just to understand yourself a little bit better, you can always, you can always book a consultation with me. I had a little brain fart there. Moving forward though, with the notables, the first one that I wanted to take note of is that there is a lot of fixed energy and a lot of water within the chart. And when I talk about the energies, as a quick note, so fixed are the signs that are in between the seasons and they hold the energy. And Scorpio is holding the energy of fall. The cardinal signs start the seasons. They're the actors and the doers and the goers. And then the mutable signs are the signs that are after fixed. And things are about to change, things might be ending, something new is coming. But so they're flexible and they're not necessarily starting something, they're kind of helping let things transition. And so with this fixed energy and water, there's other elements and other energies. The first thing that came to my mind is like frozen water, which, we're having freezes right now and our water is, small amounts of water are starting to get frozen. And then also stagnant water that's not moving because it's fixed, right? It's not a waterfall, it's not a rushing river. That is largely the energy right now. And you can interpret that in many ways. How I'm feeling it, intuiting on this one actually is that it's like, we are being asked to kind of look at what's the stagnant water, right? It's not moving, so we kind of have a chance, but like what's festering, and it's very Scorpio. Scorpio is very much about like what is toxic or poison or, in this case, festering too, like a festering wound. And we may not be doing much about it right now because of the fixed energy. We're just kind of like witnessing, and maybe we're even being a little stubborn about the things that are kind of festering in the water. But, things will shift and things will change as we get into Sagittarius season and as other things keep moving. But take note if there is something where you're kind of being a little stubborn on, or other people are being stubborn on, especially about emotions too, maybe holding on to things and feelings that maybe aren't serving us anymore. Again, it's not action time necessarily, even though it is new moon. It's more about kind of witnessing, because that fixed energy is saying, hey, like really take a glance. The next thing I want to take note of is that Saturn has stationed direct on November 5th. And so with that, I kind of mentioned in my last video, it was sitting at 0 degrees. I mean, we could go into that, like what does 0 degree means, but of Pisces, but it's been doing it since October 12th, meaning it hasn't moved backwards or forwards. It's kind of been hunkering down, holding on to that degree. And so what I've been seeing for myself, and then this can apply to anybody though, depending on where the Saturn transit has fallen into your chart and houses, is that when it really started to slow down, just kind of hunkered down, my Saturn, or where Saturn, I should say, is going through my chart, is in my responsibility to the world and work and career, and where I realize like I'm doing work, doing the hard work, Saturn, right? Responsibility. I'm trying to continue to build my foundation, and having boundaries, working on boundaries. Things aren't really happening. I'm doing the work. You know, Saturn always continues to do the work, even when things aren't always being returned right away. But things aren't being returned right now. And I think this is probably going to be true for a lot of people where Saturn falls. Say it's in your first house of your body and you've decided to like, I'm going to commit and start a new routine to take care of my body. And you're exercising, you're trying to like say build muscle mass or lose weight. You're just doing it every day, committing, doing it, and nothing's changing. Well, I think that now that it's starting to move forward as of November 5th, we'll start to see some of those changes. Slow as Saturn is and as it goes, and once it really passes the degree that it had stationed at originally, which I don't have right now, unfortunately. And so that's going to take a bit, though. I can tell you that things will start to move forward, and you'll start to see returns, because Saturn is a builder too. You know, it's like, hey, it's going to take some time. So what are you working on building where you're being responsible right now? Don't despair. Don't fall into the possibilities that Saturn likes to bring, like, oh, this is for nothing. No, it is. It's just, I think, going to take some time. The last notable I want to take to make, is there are a few planets that shifted signs recently. And this is important because each planet represents an energy and what kind of they're doing or not doing. So to speak, some are more passive. But it's changing that all for us collectively. And of course, in different areas of our life. But Venus was in Virgo for a little while. They're kind of getting at the details, making sure we're getting things done to the T. Not so much about fun. Like, fun is getting the details done in this area. It has just shifted as of November 8th into Libra, and that's one of its home signs. And it's like, oh, good old home. It's time to be comfortable. And the comfort here is in relating to people, connecting to people, socializing. Maybe we start to go out to dinner more, or enjoy the finer things in life. It's very good at enjoying refined and beautiful things, going to, you know, movie theaters or art galleries. And justice may also be a theme too. Like, where do we desire justice? But it's a lot about connecting instead of like the little bit more reserved detail thing. It's like it's a little more pleasure seeking, and can be. I mean, I think it brings lighter notes to this chart for sure. And it makes a nice aspect to Mercury, which Mercury has also just shifted from Scorpio to Sagittarius. And both signs deal with thought processes and feelings and stuff. And so where it was in Scorpio, there's a lot more thinking about our feelings, and there's a little bit more of a psychological element and thinking about what needs to get unearthed and what needs to transform, what needs to die, what needs to be reborn. And then moves into Sagittarius, there's a lightness that comes through, which is nice. When it's in Scorpio, it's a little heavy. Not bad, just a little more intense, a little more focused. And then when it goes to Sagittarius, there's this expansion, this freeing. It's like, oh, you know, I've gone through this. Now let's think about the bigger picture and how can I experience the world? And so I thought with these aspects and how the planets have moved, we might be trying to plan a vacation, maybe to a national park or a art gallery or something beautiful. You might have a fun time getting together with friends, trying to start planning things or doing it too. But this brings a lightness to the chart. And I feel like that's the very surface level. Like, we're going to be thinking about justice. We are thinking about beauty. We're thinking about connecting, leading us into the holiday season, right? Connecting with friends, connecting with family, eating, having a good time. That is very Sagittarian. But this is a very surface level part of the story. It's there, the energy's there, and I think that it provides some lightness. But in my storytelling that I'm trying to kind of work in and weave in here, or use imagery, because I'm very image orientated, instead of just telling you all the aspects, is that this aspect of the chart is very harmonious, and it's like a very beautiful, glassine lake with there's trees around it, and it's very peaceful and harmonious and inspiring and making us think of the bigger picture and being philosophical. But as they say, still waters run deep, because as you look at that lake, what you don't know is there's this rushing current, an undertow, something that's so deep and so powerful. There's something more to the story, and that's really the overall arcing story of this chart. Really, we've got this nice little harmonious aspect, but there's some volatility underneath. And the reason I say this is Scorpio, right? The sun and the moon are in Scorpio, and Scorpio doesn't always have to be intense. Scorpio doesn't always have to be manipulative. Like, you hear all of these harder phrases. I mean, that can be the shadow side. But with this moon, this is called the raging moon, from Raven Caldere's moon phase astrology. And I think overall, this is a very good way to describe some of the aspects and this moon and the energy that's going to be present. And, like a warning, so to speak, like, people think new moons are always joyous and it's a new start and it's like like a little baby coming out and having fun, or a youth having play. And often those moons are, and they're often naive too, as youth can be. This is a different youth. This is a different kind of new moon. This is one of the harder, if not hardest, new moons out there. And let's unpack that a little bit here. And so we kind of talked about those shadow pieces. Like, why would this be the raging moon? Why is this child raging? It's a little child, right? Shouldn't they be having fun and playing and being carefree? Well, not this child. And why is that? Scorpio is about power, our power. Like, we all have in our chart, there's a placement. So this is not just for Scorpios, this is for everybody. It is about how you use your power, how you own your power, how some people may abuse it, some don't. Some can stand at it and realize true power is not through manipulation or violence or control. It's like, this is what I can control, this is what I can do, and being able to own it. But this is a child, right? And so if we think about a child, I mean, everyone's circumstances are different. By and large, children are told what to do, what to eat, what to drink, when to go to sleep, where to go. And what is that? That is a control of sorts, right? Like, people are doing it to help rear their children, but it's making a sense of powerlessness. And this makes this moon rage. It feels stripped of its core, its core being, right? Like, I want to be powerful. Where is my power? And it's taken straight away from this moon. And this is where the rage comes. And, it's something to sit with. And there are aspects that intensify this moon. Not only is that its core energy, Mars, which rules Scorpio and can be volatile and can be direct and can be combative under the right circumstances, when push comes to shove, is conjunct this moon. And it happens to be that Uranus, the planet of unpredictability and change and just kind of like, what the heck, what happened there, is opposing this moon. So drastic, sudden, sharp change. I mean, some people can get volatile. I mean, this can be a global thing. I am hoping that this doesn't play out in an intense way, but some people may snap. And why would this be? All right, let's go back to this child. What do they have to do? They may be angry. They may feel powerlessness. Other feelings that may arise with this and the moon and that child. They may feel like they have irrational desires because people are telling them, no, that's not good, or that's bad, or that's ridiculous. They may have selfish needs come up where maybe they're not thinking of other people. And they're being asked to repress all this stuff. And a lot of us have repressed a lot of stuff. We're told as kids, do this, do that, be nice, be good, get through the day, make it agreeable. But those things don't go away. And so what happens is some of those hidden desires, some of those, some of those selfishnesses, some of the feeling of powerlessness and anger and rage that come from it don't go away. We might bury it, to get through our day, but that doesn't help us, because then that unconsciously, subconsciously, really, it's the sub thing, subconsciously rules us, how we respond to people, like even our decisions. Like it could be decisions for jobs, careers, partners, how we work with money, Taurus, that you're like, how we value ourselves. All that is like under the surface. And so we're being asked, and this is where you can bring in, if you want to do a ritual, to try to witness and understand these things about ourselves. We all have them. If these things are coming up for you, first, if you need to talk to a professional, please do so in a safe space. If you feel like you're safe and others are safe, try to find a time by yourself around this moon, and sit with these feelings. Are you angry? Is there rage? You don't have to necessarily heal it, but you have to understand it. Where is this coming from? Because then you can take your power back by understanding it, being aware, being kind to yourself, but in going, okay, what action can I take to get my power back? What action can I take to be less selfish, if that's a true thing? Or what action can I take to say there are irrational desires? Maybe you're supposed to take action on some of those. Maybe those are right for you, actually. And maybe they're not. And you can be like, well, maybe that's not so good in the larger picture for myself. Maybe that's feeding a little bit of a demon, so to speak, right? Very Scorpio term, like the monster inside. Again, honoring the monster, like how can I bring this out in a higher expression? Because often some of these shadow pieces can be done in an artful, beautiful, expressive way. And then when other people see it, they realize it's okay to be me and have needs and desires. But it's about doing it with consideration, and for yourself and for others. And so this is largely the moon, right? Like I said, unexpected things might be coming up for people. Unexpected things, like boom, and not to get too much into the aspects, but like Mars moves fast, the moon moves fast. And so like shortly after this time in the day, the moon will hit over Mars and it'll hit over Uranus. And so like we'll have these deep feelings, and it's just going to and the sun will come the next day and illuminate. It's like there's kind of going to be like this unfolding, but it's going to be fast and rapid. And I want people to be kind to themselves. But ask yourself, where do you need to get your power back? How can you do it respectfully, right? Mindfully, with consideration. You're no longer a child for most of the people here. And even if you are a child, you can accept the circumstances and work with where you can take your power back. There is always a way. And so my hope is that this rage transforms. And that's what rage is there for us to call to us, where we need to bring things to the surface and transform, and not to take us over and turn into the true anger and rage where things get destroyed, because it can destroy like things in the physical relationships. It can be intense. So be kind to yourself. And my little phrase for this very powerful, deeply transformative, and volatile day and moon in this time is deep awareness opens us up to our inner power. So be aware, be kind, give it a moment, give yourself some space. With that, I'm Jennifer at Eureka Astrology and Healing. If you like what I do, hit like, subscribe, check out my website, eurekastrologyandhealing.com, where I offer various services, birth chart readings, herbal consultations, oracle readings. And with that, just be good to yourself and others. May the stars guide you and the plants ground you. Ciao for now.